Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this. I wanted to come on here really quickly just to share some encouragement along the theme of why we need to be reading our Bibles this year, as I have previously shared in other videos. And so for as long as I'm on myself about reading the Bible, I will come on here as I feel led to share just some guidance or encouragement on why we need to be reading our Bible and developing that biblical literacy. So I started the book of Psalms today, and I was in chapter 1, specifically verses 1 through 3. And that's where I'll kind of read to them, and I'll talk through kind of the downloads I was getting. It was exciting to me, and so hopefully it's encouraging to you. So it reads, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper." So verse 1 is talking about, blessed is a man that does not, walk in the counsel of the ungodly, or stand in the path of sinners, or sit in the seat of the scornful. Verse 2 and 3 is kind of where I'm going to focus today, because verse 1 is packed, right? I encourage, if you can go and read that and break down all of the words, like, what does, blessed, the Hebrew for blessed, for walks, for counsel, for ungodly, all of that stuff. It'll definitely bless you. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to focus in on verses 2 and 3. Verse 3 says, "He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its seasons. It's in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper." So this verse tells us that it is possible for us to be like trees, to be ones that are planted, that are rooted, that are sustained, that are prosperous, that are fruitful. But what is the precondition to getting to that state? The precondition is mentioned in verse 2. It says, "But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night." So I went and I looked up meditates, because I mentioned before that it's good to break down the Hebrew, the Hebrew or Greek, depending on if you're in New Testament or Old Testament, break down the meaning of the word so that you can kind of get more context. So I went and I looked up meditates, and meditate means to mutter, to speak, to study, to declare, to imagine, to devise. So what this basically means is that when we take the word of God and we chew on it and we chew on it and we put it on repeat, we mutter it, we think about it, we imagine it, we design around it, we continue to just churn through it day and night, day and night, day and night, then we are then able to be transformed to be like trees who are then planted, rooted, fruitful, sustained, and prosperous. And so I was just like, okay, could it be that because of the things that we meditate on, we are not planted, we're not rooted, we're not fruitful, we're not sustained, we're not prosperous because of the things we're meditating on? Meditation isn't just, I picked up the Bible today and I read it one time and, it was good. Meditating means I read the Bible, I took the time to understand it, I studied it a little bit, I asked some questions, and then throughout the day, I meditated upon it. I thought through it, I thought about it, I asked questions even in my head. I thought through it, I applied it, I took it and I applied it, I took it and I encouraged myself with it, I took it and I encouraged others with it. Could it be that the things that we're meditating on are the very things that are hurting us as opposed to helping us? Think about, the folks in other religions, right, where they say meditation, and you see the videos where maybe people are just repeating something over and over, over and over, over and over, over and over, over and over. That's them meditating, and they're literally becoming one with that thing. What happens is we as believers, we meditate, we study, we mutter, we devise, we declare, we speak, we think on, we declare again, we declare some more, the word of God. What would happen, right? The word of God tells us that we will become like a tree, planted, rooted, fruitful, sustained, and prosperous. And so I was thinking as I was getting this, I was like, okay, what is the opposite of a tree, right? There's no there's no like definite opposite of a tree, right? Like when we say the opposite of left is right, the opposite of up is down. What's the opposite of a tree? I just kind of did a quick Google search. This is not based on the Bible or anything. I just did a Google search, like what would be the opposite of a tree? And I saw grass. It said something as low as grass. What is grass, right? I was like, okay, what is grass? Grass can be easily damaged grass, as the thing said on Google, it says grass stays low. Grass can easily get walked all over. Grass has no, it has no depth to it. Grass has no weight to it, right? If you are just one strand of grass, there's no weight to one strand of grass. There's no weight to, there's no depth to one strand of grass. That's exactly how we are when we meditate on things that are outside of the Word of God. When we mutter, when we speak, when we study things that are outside and imagine things that are outside the Word of God. We are the opposite of being planted and rooted and fruitful and sustained and prosperous. So the encouragement here is we need to be meditating on the Word of God. And it also says his delight is in the law of the Lord. Delight means your happiness, your joy, your longing, is in the Word of God. So we need to be in the Word of God. But here's the last encouragement, right? So you're thinking, okay, I read the Word of God. I could be like a tree, sustained, prosperous, fruitful, all of those things, planted, rooted, whatever the case may be. But think about trees. Trees don't grow overnight, right? There's some trees, and I'm not a nature person, a tree person. There's some trees that I believe take hundreds of years to like grow from the time maybe they're planted to the time where they become these big trees that we see. It takes hundreds of years for them to become trees, right? To become these big, tall trees that we see. That tells us that it's going to take time for you to become rooted. It's going to take time for you to become planted. It's going to take time for you to be as like a tree. But the key here is consistently reading, consistently studying, consistently meditating, consistently delighting. And over time, you will then start to see yourself developing the characteristics and the stature of a tree. So I pray that this blessed you. And again, y'all, we need to be reading our Bibles. We need to be studying. We need to be in this Word. You got to force yourself. Sometimes you're not going to feel like it. Sometimes you're not going to want to. And another encouragement is don't ignore the probing of the Spirit of God. When the Spirit of God is like, hey, go and read, go read the Bible, go study. I was doing something before I picked up the Bible to start reading. I was actually in the middle of doing something, and I literally I felt the tug to like, go pick up the Bible, go, spend some time. And I got what I just shared with you. So don't ignore the tug to read the Bible. Make it, a discipline. Again, we got to be reading our Bibles this year. So I pray this bless you. Take care.